the stalwarts. Yes, sir. Yeah, you have raised hand, Rango. Is there anything specific?
No, no, ma'am. I was just.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Ma'am, let's please start. Nitya is just joining. She'll be here in a second by the time her introduction.
No problem. No problem. Namaste, everyone. This is the ninth Veda talk. We had 4 Veda talks and 4 workshops so far. This is a very unique approach where we are inviting people from across the globe, not only from India, from different countries, to share with us their expertise and experience so that we can all learn from each other. So, the IRIEC, International Resource Center on Inclusive Education and Community-Based Rehabilitation, is a web portal which is a single window where one can avail all the resources from A to Z, which has Veda Talks, and it also has a feature called Ask Tina, which gives information on various aspects of RPWD Act, accommodations and accessibility and provisions and social security. And people can ask questions about RPWD Act and get information from Ask Tina. There is also digital library, which has a wealth of resources of books, videos, and a lot of multimedia, which is there you can access, which is from across the globe, from many countries where a good work is going on. Sorry. So today is the very fabric of today's session is talking for people with disabilities. That is what most of the time that happens. So it is so important to see that people with, say, diversity, diverse needs, disability, though I am very much against using labels. So, listening to them and learning from them is a great thing for us to take it forward. I was specifically, impressed by 3 stalwarts, 3 stars, I call them suns and stars. Use them. So, give me a second, I'll take you through the introduction. We have the first speaker. The first speaker of today's session is a very dynamic person, Sri Arun Fernandez. So I met Arun maybe about not more than a year ago. We've been working, and I was amazed to see that nothing is impossible. That is what, whenever I see Arun, that is the message I get, that all limitations are there in our head. So once we remove these limitations, everything is possible. So that is Arun for you. And Arun has completed his BCom and MSW and MBA from Loyola College, Chennai, and he's the founder of DLearners. So Arun is the founder of DLearners, was not always the confident person he is now. He shares that he, being a dyslexic child, he was mocked for his perceived inabilities and oddities. However, Arun has taken huge steps forward and to ensure that any limitations will not be a barrier to move ahead in life. Arun has completed one bachelor degree and two masters, and that is not a small achievement. And Arun is also a lecturer, so he teaches in the same college. Arun, when we look at Arun, the very concept of having, say, learning disability or dyslexia, how people can overcome, and it is so much on their own effort. That is what, when he shares about his story, there was a lot of support system, but Arun's journey to move ahead on his own is very, very inspiring to everyone, not only for people with disabilities, I would say for everyone and every youth in our country. And we are aware of the magnitude of, say, disabilities, especially the learning disabilities, though we have not yet in a position in the country to say that we have the data or statistics to say that, but it is it is not a smaller issue. That is something which we have to really look into that. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, you're audible, but the
Yes,
slides are
ma'am.
not moving.
Slide is not moving?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am, you are audible.
okay. I don't know why slide is not moving. So I think if I take out
Yeah, now it's moving, ma'am.
yeah, it is moving because it is not on play, it is not on the slideshow mode. Okay.
Otherwise, madam,
Yeah. So
madam,
yes.
besides the slideshow, there is a view. If you go to view, there is a read mode. So that will be more or less equivalent to your slideshow.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Anyway, let me complete. So we don't have
Okay.
database on
Sure.
disabilities or on learning disabilities based on the kind of prevalence what we see across the country and across the world. So all that data we have is about 2011 data, which talks about less than 2.86% of people with disabilities. So currently, Arun is pursuing his doctoral degree, and Arun is a classic example that not only dyslexia, when I look at Arun's profile, I feel that any problem can be overcome. So it says, no mukam karoti vachalam. No, I remember the Sanskrit shloka. So if someone decides, they can really cross any barriers. So I welcome Arun for this session, and we look forward for your enlightening sharing with us. The other speaker is the young dynamic Nitya, Rathi. She's a student, she's an author, and at such an young age, she has already authored a comic series called Purple Flame. So Nitya has unique abilities. I will go through Nitya's sharing a little later. And when I look at Nitya, I would say, she's really gifted. When we look at Nitya's profile, just a 14-year-old girl who is already accomplished being an author and studies in grade 9 in Vasant Valley School, New Delhi. She has been diagnosed having dyslexia at a young age. And she had her own struggles having to manage with self-esteem. But she has really overcome. And really thanks to her family, thanks to her parents, and thanks to every support that is given to Nitya. But I would give the entire credit to Nitya herself because it is only through the grit and confidence and unshaking faith in oneself, only then we can achieve what Nitya has achieved at an young age. She is the author of Purple Flame comic series, starring the world's first dyslexic superhero, Purple Flame. I have the good opportunity of getting Nitya's comic series into Kannada language as well, and the stories are the basis of what Nitya's real life was. So that is the main source of inspiration. Thanks, Nitya, for sparing your time and for being with us. That even just seeing you is very inspiring for a large number of children in schools. And this young lady really brings a host of new hopes for everyone. Again, looking at limitations, disabilities, or labels is not limiting. It doesn't limit once the person decides to overcome. She is young, but she has strong opinions and is not scared to voice them. And we'll see how Nitya shares her views in a short while from now. He says, I am maybe young, but I strongly believe in defending those who cannot speak up for themselves, whether an animal or a child being bullied. I want people to become aware of the strengths of people with disabilities and that we should include them in everything. This is something very strong, and I also see Nitya also adding other disability heroes, heroines in her Purple Flame series. It is something very unique, I would say, which we have not seen something of this kind anywhere in any other languages. That way, Nitya's contribution to this sector is very, very remarkable. In 2017, she co-founded Rebel Girls platform with her brother, where girls and boys interact with gender norms and busting women leaders. In 2021, UN Women, the United Nations entity for gender equality and the empowerment of women, recognized Nitya as a generation equality champion and recently featured her in the global annual report for 2021. Congratulations, Nitya. Heartiest congratulations. We are really proud of you. We welcome you to the Veda Talk. And we have the third young man, Shubhang. Shubhang, I know Shubhang quite well, a very leading advocate who has a very interesting journey and is so honest when he is sharing. And I see that Shubhang always speaks from heart. So here is Shubhang. He is a research associate, National Anti-Doping Agency in New Delhi. So he is now part of the team where he is working there. And look at his educational profile. He has a BA with major political science, LLB, Honors Constitution and IPR from Hidayatullah National Law College, LLM from Gujarat National Law University, Proctor Certificate Diploma in Fitness and Nutrition, Foundation course in INFS. Sometimes I wonder what is limitation. No, there are no limitations because with the kind of profile and with the kind of achievements, all the three say resource people we have, there's really nothing limiting the limitations because they are high achievers from every angle. So we are very proud that they are with us. And Shubhang also has a junior legal associate at Vardhani Foundation in Bangalore and is content creator and PR executive at Incarnating Raipur, program coordinator, NOS Vocational Training Center. And a finalist in Mr. Chhattisgarh Modeling Event 2016, won first prize in Legal and International Policy Quiz, as well as a finalist at Corporate Quiz at Symbhav 2014, a literary organized as Symbiosis Law School, Pune, and won the Best Laureate at IIIT Hyderabad in 2013, and part of an award-winning play which was staged at Outlawed 2020 in Cultural Fest organized by NUGS Kolkata, and he won the fitness and powerlifting competition by Decathlon Raipur. runner-up in 100-meter freestyle in Spiritus 2010, a sports festival at the National Law School in Bangalore, and zonal finalist in inter-school quiz competition. And he was recommended in Army, JAG 23 SSP. I really don't know what exactly is that, but something very outstanding. We are really proud of you, Shubhang.
Thank you, ma'am.
So here are some pictures with Shubhang with the stalwarts. And we are very happy that Shubhang is here with us. And we welcome everyone, all the three, and also Srimati Nupur Junjunwala, who will be coordinating this session. So thank you and welcome everyone. Thank you very much. Over
Thank
to
you, ma'am.
you.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I request the speakers to start, the panelists to turn on their camera?
Yes.
I am so proud to be here. These three really, really inspire me. I think we all spend our day fighting battles for these individuals to see how life can be more inclusive. And then the three of them in three different stages of their lives are showing how, in spite of all the struggles, they are managing to cope. Please excuse me if you see tears in my eyes. This is an emotional session for me. I don't know Shubhang that well, but Arun, I have been interacting over the last year, and this smile of his is totally infectious. And Nitya, of course, is my daughter. So let me start with you, Arun. You're the eldest of the three. Tell us a little bit about your journey, about how you got identified, and
Yeah.
how it's been.
So oldest among the heroes here. Yeah. Anyways, so the journey for me was a very big struggle because I was shifted to 7 different schools, and finally I was sent to a Kilpauk Mental Hospital, which is in Chennai, to kind of identify myself. And I had a lot of fear that they're going to put me there, because every year I used to change a school. Till July, I will be a popular kid because of my sports activities. But after August, I disappear because of my first midterm marks, and that was always the case. And finally, when every school gave me a pass TC because I was not able to read or write well, so they didn't want to kind of own the responsibility of having me, and having a failure in their 10th and 12th is what they believed. So the whole world believed that yes, this student that time would not actually pass. But to their dismay, eventually I did pass 10th and 12th. And it was a struggle, I could say, because at that time Tare Zameen Par was not there actually when I started my struggle. I think so in my 12th only Tare Zameen Par came, 10th and 12th. So that time only everyone started talking about dyslexia. So in that way, initially it was a struggle, but yeah, I can hold on now, and later on we can talk more.
Thank you, Arun. And then over to you, Shubhang. You've had a very interesting journey following the law path, which is generally
Yes,
not
ma'am.
something most students pursue. To tell us a little bit about how you got identified and how you decided to do what you do today.
Well, it's a long journey of trial and error, and somehow things shape up as they are now. But there's never a conscious thought कि ऐसा करेंगे तो यही होगा. Like life happens eventually. So like pandemic was the biggest example. So I'll cut the chase now. So when I was in 7th grade, that was 2004, late 2004, that I was diagnosed with dyslexia. So पहले तो it was my parents who took the initiative, obviously, because back in middle school I I was not able enough to comprehend this. So uh, I am from Raipur, Chhattisgarh, but my family is from, like, my extended family is from Mysore, Bangalore. So we went down south, and there it was diagnosed at Institute of NIMHANS and All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, Mysore. So I got my certification from there. So like the main thing was with me was that I was good. I was exceptionally good at humanities, like be it languages or social sciences. So and I sucked at math, arithmetic, and in social sciences, like I knew the answers, and but my writing speed was slow. So for that was the most like obvious impediment that led to this revelation. So in 10th grade, like I had 1 hour extra due to that dyslexia certification. So in basically in 10th and 12th boards and my college, I got 1 hour extra. But I never required the need of an amanuensis or writer to say so. I was able to write my own, but then I needed extra hour. So, but in college, I had more difficulties in fourth, fifth year, basically. So, I mean, after my first year, I was able to realize that the exam pattern was not something which was like conducive for me. So, I realized that objective type pattern will be something I will be able to excel at because that will give me a level playing field. Right. So, because in law, what we have usually is like we have one question, and that for 1 or 2 line question, we are supposed to write like 9 to 10 pages. So, for someone like me, it's practically, like unfair and impossible. So, I mean, even people around me and some teachers, they did realize that, but then uh, for that, we needed to get institutionally, so we had to go to court after my 5 years, and for the next 1.5 years, there was a litigation, and you can Google it. It's Shubhang Sharma versus Union of India. So a writ petition of mandamus was filed at Bilaspur High Court, and मैंने काफी वकालत उसके थ्रू सीखी. Excuse me if I speak in Hindi. I hope people here out here they know Hindi. So इस चक्कर में रेड टेपिज्म था तो 1.5 2 साल लग गए. And then, so I was supposed to graduate in 2015. I got my degree in 2018. But thanks to that, it's a precedent. So, in the annals of higher education in India, people who have specific learning disability, so this case law can be, cited by them, and they can have things like as they deem fit, for each his own. So like for me, I didn't need an amanuensis. I needed some changes in the exam pattern. So following that, like I had my interest. I wanted to join the Indian Army, and despite being a dyslexic, like I'm not trying to, exact any. Matlab, I know that because in that there's no PWD quota. So I went there on my merit. I got recommended from Army JAG SSB, which I take a lot of pride in. Though I was merit out. I didn't I was all India rank 14. There was just 7 vacancies, but I take pride in the fact that I got recommended in JAG SSB. Despite, I mean, I'm not taking it as a calling card to, लोगों को इसका मतलब मेरे को फायदा नहीं लेना, but on my merit I was able to get a certain respectable thing. So because since I got my degree a bit late, so I didn't had more attempts, unfortunately. So at that time I just gave 2 SSBs. I was 26 and a half, and then there was this age limit criteria. So I went back to law. I finished my masters with ease this time because there was this high court ruling which eased it out, and then the pandemic happened. So I finished my masters in 2020 from Gujarat National University, and since then, like late 2020, I finished my masters, and since then I've been exploring life. I mean, due to the pandemic, things have been a bit standstill. So I worked with an MNC, and I've been into fitness also. So I'm just exploring because I'm like a multifaceted person who's like jack of all trades but master of none. So I'm just exploring myself, and I was interested in sports law. So I've done some internships, workshops, and I made my dissertation of LLM, which is like a mini PhD around this subject matter only. So now I'm working with National Anti-Doping Agency. It just happened that I landed up here. So I've got plans to pursue. Uh, by the way, I also participated in CrossFit Noble 2022. So very few Indians, like about 2,500, 2,500 Indians participated in that. So उसमें मेरा रैंक था 340 something. So I was like in that 340th uh, fittest Indian in that CrossFit Open. So I participated that virtually. So I mean, it's just like a sport of fitness, which we do functional training, calisthenics, powerlifting, and all that stuff. So so that is like, yeah. So
That's
I'm just
amazing.
dabbling. I'm dabbling my time with all these experiences and exploring where do I fit in.
That's so great to hear, Shubhang. I think it must have
Thank
taken a
you.
lot of courage to fight that case
Yes,
with the
ma'am. It took
repercussions.
perseverance. Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of perseverance. I mean, I had my family support, so but then there were other reasons. The family support is also conditional, subject to you are doing things at your end, then only they'll support you. So yeah, it's been a very tough journey, but then yeah, it's fine.
So hold that thought, Shubhang. We'll come back to it in terms of support. But before
Yeah.
that, Nitya, would you like to talk a little bit about your journey?
Uh, so this I was in third grade,
We can't
and
hear you. If you can talk up.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I was in the third grade, and my English teacher and maths teacher sort of ganged up against me. Like they would call me out in class and would say, if you can't do English, then you won't be able to do math because English is majority of maths and so. And I would get a lot of trust from my teachers saying, also since I was quite thin for my age, like I was quite sticks and bones. So my teacher would say, you need to see, then like take this math and then study and work harder. Although um how whichever I tried, I would just simply get frustrated and end up in tears, whether or not I tried hard. So yeah. So inspired by that, I assume many people also go through that. Uh, so I uh, I-
So how did that make you feel when the teacher kept picking on you?
well, when she kept picking on me, like I said, I would try my best to hold back my tears in class, but eventually I can't hold it any longer than a certain amount. So I came home and I cried every time about the time, saying I would not like to go to school anymore because I was like picked on by my teachers and all. So
Okay, Nitya. So let's go back a little bit to what Shubhang was also talking about is how do you manage to be where you are today, right? What has worked for you all? Everybody always talks about what didn't work, but you all are showing that clearly something works in terms of you all being able to succeed and have these smiles here right now. So tell me, Shubhang, maybe you can start because you've probably had the most aggressive fights and you've helped change the way the government of India works with a decision. So talk to us about what your support systems were.
Um, so lot of things, they happen like जितना इंसान खुद अपने लिए प्रोएक्टिव होता है विजुअलाइज करके कि वो उससे कैसे मतलब हमें सॉल्यूशन अपने से ही सोचना पड़ता है सो द इंस्टीट्यूशनल मशीनरी द पेरेंट्स टीचर्स they are something which are like uh, they will only support you to a certain extent but then there has to be certain clarity from where you operate and in today's day and times there's a lot of information but at the same time there's a lot of confusion and chaos so one has to follow their instincts and like okay the institution should be there in my case there was no institutional support it took but it was a case of justice delayed justice denied because शायद मुझे 2015 में अगर डिग्री मिलती तो I would have been serving in the Indian Army. I would have been a captain right now. Because law was something which was just I pursued law like people can pursue engineering. I never really had any urge to do justice, to impart justice, or to end up in a big corporate law firm. So I'm a first generation lawyer from a tier two small town. So obviously I didn't have this backing from my family. I didn't have that ecosystem where I could build a successful legal career. So I was always into humanities, and law was something which my family thought that, going by their thing, that law will be something which will be a conventional professional degree, so it will have more chances of job, in the job market. So I did curse it eventually. I mean, I have had a very love hate relationship with law. So there are few subjects in law I like, and a lot of subjects in law that I detested and loathed. So that's why it took me a while to get my degree. So apart from what you study, your education qualification, there are other things that an individual over the course of time, maybe there's some hobby or some small startup. So I mean, it's like it works out differently for them. So it's better to have some new dimensions to your own personality and your growth as we grow.
Interesting. So, Arun, tell us about your journey then. You're on mute.
Your mic is mute, buddy.
Yeah, the question was how you are going to overcome is, I would say, one single word which compresses all is grit. Everything are and you need to kind of swim through the wave outside, which is every day of struggle. Like when you go to school, all the kids can read well and you will not be able to read. All the kids could copy from the board and you will not be able to copy. And all the kids will complete their understand their English, whatever is written in a question paper, and you will not be able to do it. And but though you know the answer and in school, and that would be always a struggle, and you will be a invisible one in the whole lot. That is actually, that was my school. And when it comes to college, what actually happened is, I did my how to say, I did my 10th using a scribe. And I slightly differ from Shubhang. It is because he didn't use a scribe and I needed to use a scribe. For that, I would say there's a difference between ability and capability. And I started defining capability as the knowledge what I have, and the ability as the spelling what I need to write. So, and from a very young age, that how that occurred, that difference occurred to me is when I did my scribe in my 10th. And I finished my finished my exam, and I got 78 marks in MDA, Madras Dyslexia Association only, 78% actually in NIOS. And I went home and I was very excited about it because that was my first academic success. But that bubble was soon blasted by my father, saying that, see, end of the day, someone is writing for you. You are not writing. The whole world writes by themselves. That was actually a blow, and I was very upset about the whole situation, and I was very upset. And suddenly my mother came. Why are you upset? And she told, because end of the day, I'm not writing. Others all write, and I have someone to write for me, and I'm not capable. And she told this way, he is 47 years old now, and he has a PA, and she is writing his emails, and she is like replying to his mails because he's traveling. So you have a PA in 10th standard. So imagine when you are 47, how many PAs you will have. So that was actually a very mind-opening thing for me. Why? Because that time I started believing, okay, writing is just a skill, but knowing the answer is your knowledge. That can take you anywhere, and that can take you, when you're able to converse it, that is more than enough, is what I believed. And so I did my BCom. Initially, they gave me economics, and I did my BCom to prove my father that I was doing better than him. He, in the same college, he studied history. So history was not very revived, like sort of subject for people to study in down south. So what actually I wanted to do BCom, and I wanted to prove him wrong. But eventually I didn't have accounts, or neither I had business max in NIOS. So what actually
Arun, you're frozen. Is it for me or for everyone?
It's for everyone.
Yeah.
Can't hear him.
Okay, so I think he'll rejoin. So while we wait for him, Nitya, do you want to talk a little bit about your support systems that you've got?
Ma'am, excuse me, I just wanted to confirm, like you are, like Nitya is your daughter.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
She's my, she's my
आपसे
youngest.
initial. Okay, nice, nice. I haven't been introduced to you both, so okay, nice.
That's fine. That's all good. So my support system is is has
Ma'am, you're not audible.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Just come a little closer, Nitya. That should be fine.
Okay, can you hear me better this way?
It's a bit muffled voice, so yeah. Speak a bit like louder. Keep the phone closer, the mic.
Okay, how about now?
Come closer to the mic and speak louder, beta.
How can you hear me now? Like, is it
Yes.
muffled?
We
Perfect.
can hear you very well. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so my support system is got better once I came to the fourth grade because I had a great class teacher who is also my English teacher. She explained everything to me. She never minded if I couldn't read or spell something. I have and one of the biggest support systems I had till now is one of my tuition teachers. She's in the meeting right now. So her name is Halreen Aruwalia. So she has been like with me since class one. She has picked up all my calls from 3 a.m. from me crying from my schoolwork or something or the other. Um, Also, I had another teacher in school who always like who would always be there right when I would be like in a trouble or something. Her name is Rama Tandon. So she was quite there. My friends and my family really helped, considering majority of my family already has dyslexia. Like majority of my mamas and uh, a few of my cousins also. So and my mom, since my mama already had dyslexia, she had a little more experience of it. So she helped me during all of this. And though the school does through testing and finds out, although the school like tests and then like confirms that you have dyslexia, my mom knew it since the moment I started learning my alphabets. Um, Also, my friends were really helpful. Like I would stutter or like think through my sentences before I would speak, or I would all of a sudden just ask for random spelling, and they would just simply give it to me. And it would be so casual. Like I would be working, all of a sudden I'll be asking, "How do you explain, for example, the word um, apple?" They would be doing their work. They all of a sudden will be spelling it out for me, and then go back. It would be very casual, and so that would be my support system. You're on mute.
So thank you for sharing that. So Arun, maybe you can continue where you left. You were talking about how your mom gave you a different perspective. I'm assuming she's been a rock solid figure who has supported you.
he is the only figure who made me who I am today, and I could say that in that moment only I realized that knowledge is what you want and how you can actually perceive the whole world. So what I wanted to disprove my father when I did BCom. Eventually, I didn't get. It was getting BCom for in down south is actually difficult. So what I did is I stood in front of the principal's office about 30, 40 days. And he got in one point, he got fed up of seeing my face every morning and evening. And what do you want? So, father, I'm dyslexic. So I want to prove my father wrong that I can do well. Economics is not the subject. No, economics is also a subject. No, I want BCom is what I told him. And finally, he did give. And when I when I kind of sent my papers to my HOD, and one voice from the side were telling that another professor out there, he told, what are you doing? You are dyslexic already and you do not have accounts background. How are you going to do BCom? And I told, no, sir, I will try because that's my dream that I want to do commerce and so on. Anyways, you're going to fail, but anyways, the principal has changed your course, so you will be able to do it, is what he told. And it was that time it was very taunting, but later what actually happened in the same college, the reason becoming a lecturer in the same college, I no longer work there, but so is when I did my master's and I started lecturing there in my time wherein I was about to sign my register. So what actually happened is he saw me again, and he told me students are not allowed in staff room. Then I told, no sir, I'm no longer a student. I'm your colleague. What colleague? What department? What are you teaching? So I'm teaching PD sir after my MSW. Oh, nice, nice. So the same year, end of 1.5 years, I also got the best lecturer award in that college. Why? Because I never used, as she was mentioning, friends would help. In that same way, my HOD, whoever I was under, he told, okay, what is your difficulty in taking class, Arun? I can't write anything in the board, sir, because I do not know spellings. So I can prepare my PPTs, and I want a projector whenever I go to class. So he actually allocated a new projector for me, and every class I used to take it and fix it and teach children. So that way, this is an assistive tool, what I could say. And end of the year, everyone started kind of following me, and I did TED talks, present assignments, and so on. Everyone, all the kids, all the college students were very fond of me, and every course end, I will tell my story. That is, I being a dyslexic, and every day is a struggle when you kind of go to school and so on. If I could do this much, and how much y'all can do as a regular people, and they will all say, no sir, you are more greater than us, is what I could say, and all that they will say. But the point is, that difference, and every time when we encounter difficulties and so on, create more and more possibilities to overcome it rather than just stick on. Like as Nitya told, that she will ask spelling to her friends. That's a beautiful overcoming mechanism, and not getting bugged up about, oh, I'm not getting to spell apple. As long as what is apple, that's more than enough to survive in life, is what I believe.
That's so true. So do you all see how these, like, they have such innocent, smiling faces, and you think that they're just another person, but the strength and resilience that they have behind them to overcome all of this stuff that they are making so normal is beautiful. I think all of us see children and individuals who do this, but it's all in their attitude. I think where they have found ways to cope and stand up for their rights. And I think that to me is very, very inspirational, whether, and to smile through that process. So tell us a little bit about what works. I know, Arun, you mentioned a little bit about coping as mechanisms, as technology. So what really does in the end help you? Is it the accommodation, a different way of teaching? Is it just respect? What is it? If you could think of 3 top things. In the audience, we have a lot of people who are practitioners who help people every day, are studying it. So Shubhang, maybe we can start with you this time. What are the 3 things you think that can help?
Uh, Hello. Yeah. So, ma'am, I'm just pondering about it as you spoke that I was In my mind, I was wondering, I was thinking about the examples of famous dyslexics, say like Richard Branson, Albert Einstein, Tom Cruise more recently. So I'm just think like it works different way for every individual, like आप लोग ये देखते हैं कि वो इंसान वो फेमस हो गया है जो भी, तो उसके पीछे उसकी जर्नी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होती है कि इंसान को ये देखना चाहिए कि उनका what are they actually good at, like if we speak of any individual, like it's since it's specific learning disability, it's implied that we will be bad and terrible at lot of things that the average common majority is good at. देन वी डीमोरलाइज आवरसेल्व्स कि अरे मेरे को ये चीज इतना मुश्किल लगता है जो वो लोग आराम से कर लेते हैं, बट ऑलवेज देयर इज समथिंग विच वी आर गुड एट द रेस्ट. सो देयर इज वन लाइक यूजुअली डिसलेक्सिक के साथ ये होता है कि वी हैव गुड imagination or like good creativity, so like we can think outside the box. So मतलब मैं मोटा मोटा बता रहा हूँ कि these are the common attributes. So according to that, that individual has to see that what they are good at. So rather than like improving the things which where we lack, we can just focus our energies in the particular skill or the hobby which we are good at. So ultimately, that is something which we'll be recognized for, and that will be acknowledged in the longer like frame, and like people will relate to that. So through that particular skill or art, we'll be later be able to voice our journey being dyslexic. So that is one thing I could remember, like I could consciously think about.
That's very, very profound. Arun, would you like to build on that a little bit and tell us?
So actually, I would second that. What works is you will definitely know, and you should not ponder on the things which does not work and linger around and feel that you are miserable and so on. You can actually take your strengths, and as the best thing my friends say is without your mouth no one would actually respect you also. It's like in Tamil it says it's basically when the point is whenever you're not able to, if your mouth is shut, you will definitely not have any credibility outside in the world. So I could say with that's called gift of the gab is what everyone call it as. No, and if this gift of the gab is not there, I think so today I might not talk to ma'am is telling me that I'm a stalwart, I'm no one, like in comparison to her experience and so on, and all that is occurring because I'm able to articulate what I'm thinking. So which means if only I have a feeling, okay, whatever I think I need to write it, then that's it. I'll stop articulating it itself, because the spelling would never come to me. Even though even now SLD is my PhD, but still dyslexia is a difficult spelling for me to write any day. So that is actually, that's useless. Like I know what is dyslexia. I don't know the spelling. That's okay. What's wrong in that? So I would say underplay your difficulties. I won't say it is a disability also. Why? Because this is just a skill and the skill gap.
Right.
And why are you loading it to big words and making it more heavy? It's a skill gap of reading, writing. That's it. And underplay your difficulties and overplay your abilities. And disability, and you take off the dis and only look at the ability. I think so. All that magic will happen.
Oh, that's great advice, Arun. And
Ma'am, I would like to add one thing, like my friend Arun was saying, and since you asked 3 points, the second point will be, like I'm usually good at puns, I play with words, and it's something which happens to me, spontaneously, innately. So while you guys were talking, I just framed up, this thing came up in my mind. So basically with disability comes distinctive ability. So that is something I would like to, this is an independent, like authentic thought which came to my mind. So yeah, we can put it that way. With disability comes distinctive ability. So basically we'll be good at something which will make us stand out from the rest and the crowd. So that should be the prerogative.
Shubhang, that is extremely wise. I couldn't agree more. I think we also have to acknowledge that the concept of writing is only 5,000 years old. The concept of language it goes back billions of years since humanity started. But the concept of writing and reading is much, much newer. And I think when we play, we become aware of that. You realize how small this challenge is compared to what we have to do to survive as
Mm.
humans. So, Nitya, let's come to you now. You're still in school. So, tell us something about what helps you in school to do better. What are some of the things that probably don't help you at all or that annoy you, besides the fact that you have to actually study and do the subjects? But go ahead.
Well, the the things that help me in school are like every since we're having new teachers in school, I will have to go up to my teachers and tell them that I'm dyslexic, and they're like completely casual. They'll be like, okay, we'll work to it. I'll work around it. I like my school has briefed the teachers about having kids with disability, and I and one thing that really annoys me, I feel like it's a student thing less than a dyslexic thing, is homework. It's because it's so hot in school and generally outside. And then I would like to come home and take a nap and be in the AC and not worry about the fact that I have to do more work for school the next day. So I
And
would say,
I think that's true for a lot of students, especially those who are having a challenge working from in the school itself. They do need the downtime, and we often forget that. And as a parent, I'd like to give that as advice to others, that maybe don't concentrate as much on your child slacking off as being, focused on building their skills, like the three of them have been telling us about. Uh, so let's shift gears a little bit about what
could,
y'all are doing now. So
could I,
Arun,
could
Nitya,
I
you
say,
wanted to say something?
yeah,
Go ahead.
like Mr. Mr. Arjun and Mr. and they all had said some advice. Could I also give one?
Yes, of course.
Um, we're trying to make although we're saying like about our challenges and all and how we were the black sheep. Uh, we're also trying to imply that we are still a sheep, although we are a different color, but we still are the same animal, just little different.
That's actually beautiful.
Very well said, Nitya. Very well said.
So Nitya, maybe here's a good way to talk about a little bit about Purple Flame. Why did you come up with it?
I came up with it because, like I had said earlier, like in third grade, my teachers really picked on me and gave me quite a hard time. Um, Also, like third grade is that time where you just graduated from like smaller groups to get used to like writing in pen, higher maths and everything like multiplication. You start getting into board mass, hence you get into algebra, and then you also start getting into physics and more biology, etc., etc. Third grade is when you go from smaller to higher grade. So um, after that incident, uh, I I started to like understand the fact that there are other people in who also went through that. So Mama was talking with one of my father's friends, also the co-founder and writer of Purple Flame. And so hence we wanted to bring more awareness about the fact that there's dyslexia, but we can only go so much about dyslexia. So we thought, why not we show dyslexia with other disabilities and how they work. So that's how we came up with this thing.
Excellent, Nitya. So Arun, over to you. You have DLearners that you're doing, which is, I think, some technology, something. I I I I I I don't know how a lecturer comes up and does all this cool tech stuff and makes some great videos as well.
Okay, so basically, DLearners is celebrating different learners is the tagline, and the vision of DLearners is identifying children in the very young age in school from first standard itself, early identification. Before early identification, there's a lot of awareness to be done. Even today, not many people would identify this child is not dumb. This child has a difficulty because it is very easily labeled as this child is dumb, or in normal schools there is one section of all dumb children together, like A, B, C, D, F, meaning it's all failing students. So soon they will actually take them out, or they will kind of make them sit school after school, like till 3 o'clock school will be there, and after 3 there will be another 4 hours of school of rote learning and all those things. So I wanted to kind of build is when I started Blink Foundation, I wanted to break this stigma around differences, and that's why can't we look at difference as celebrating aspect and not rather than a differentiating aspect? Why can't we transcend our differences? And that's where we thought, okay, first we need to do awareness. So as this the book what Nitya has done, we have also done some comic strip on creating awareness on the commonly seen problems, like hating school. Yes, obviously I will hate school if I am not able to perform well in school. So in that way, and a lot of many things like that is basically an awareness, and how to make a teacher stop complaining and making a teacher being a person who revives the child out of the difficulty what the child is going through. So what can be done is a teacher can refer that particular child to a special educator. That can be the best way forward. And a teacher can say your child needs to have improvement in reading writing, but your child is brilliant. This kind of awareness a teacher builds, I feel all of our lives in school would be good, and still Nitya could celebrate this in her all the school life. And though fortunate, this school whatever she is now and is really awesome, which is supporting the kid. Likewise, we need to kind of do it for all kids. So for that we did connecting a special teacher to a special educator. That is one element what we do it in this platform, and give them remedial education in a fun way. I remember when I was in 5th standard, my remedial teacher used to flash a flashcard and say, apple. Then might tell my teacher, okay, now only I'm saying apple. So when will I read like my other friends? And even though phonemic awareness is needed, but the issue is I did not understand that and all is not needed. I want to read more. I want to write more. I want to be like others. So that now, if it is gamified, more children would actually adapt it. And this gap, what we have today is all these good people who are so-called very good special educators are all comfortably sitting in metropolitan cities. And when it goes to rural area, that is not there, and internet would be the only connecting factor. So that's why from a lecturer I became a technologist and I started envisioning the whole thing. And it took pretty long years for me to kind of come here. Before that, I started going to school to screen, and I wanted to set labs in whichever school send me out. That was my first school who sent me out. I set a lab there, and I wanted to kind of revive that school children, whoever is having the problem and all. But now the platform what we have built is an ecosystem which anyone can use. Any special educator come on board, any special school who's an organization working for SLD can come on board and start using this platform. So it's not a competitor thing of I am competitor for everyone. It's not that intention. It's more about a platform. Like today we are using Google meet up to actually conduct a meeting, and that's a vision I have. And eventually, this platform should be so affordable to anyone, which is a month they just need to spend 150 rupees. They will get intervention for their children. And the vision of this whole thing is no child should be called as dumb, and every child can be called as this child has reading writing difficulty, but otherwise this child is brilliant. That statement, if every teacher starts making, I feel the whole world of SLD would change drastically.
It will happen, Arun. It will happen very soon. All of you all are great flag bearers for the cause. And of course, we are all like headed by Indumati Rao ma'am, who does such a great job in bringing all of us together. So hearing all your stories, right? Go ahead, Nitya. You were saying something. Sorry.
There was a point where you had brought up where you said there would be 4 hours of school right after school hours and then more classes. I just wanted to say, how much ever you try to teach me this topic, I will not get it, whether it takes me 200 hours in a row or 200 days. I will not get it till I get a break. And when I say a break, I don't mean a 15-minute break and then we come back to this topic. I mean like we start another topic, or we forget about it and start it in a few months or a weeks or so. Because I remember I struggled in chemistry. I remember I struggled a lot with chemistry and elements and all, where you had to like make formulas with mixing elements and symbols, and I did not get it until I was still class 8, because my teacher would not give up on the fact that we constantly had to do it also.
That's interesting perspective, Nitya. I didn't realize. So I was saying that, the common element with all of y'all is that you look beyond yourself. I think it's all about how you can benefit others as well as yourself and share those learnings. And I think for us, we get so caught up in our selfish worlds, of the competitiveness where, oh my God, if I get the benefit and I share it under this resource, then maybe that person will also do well. And then maybe I won't get the marks, and then maybe I won't get the admission. And I feel it's beautiful to see how all of y'all are breaking down those barriers of separation, right? And working across communities. Arun, with you, with connecting your teachers with special educators or other educators and just making it available so freely. Nitya, with your comic where you're talking about not just dyslexia, which is easy for you to talk about, but also relating it with other disabilities. And it's really comes from that fundamental space of that, I went through this crap and I don't think anybody else deserves to go through it. And let's try and see how we can make it easier. And I really applaud that. I think it comes from a very high level of emotional intelligence that comes to it. So now we've all spoken about this overload of work, right? And academic pressure. I want to go back to what Shubhang was talking about, how he was a champion in so many things, right? Like a fitness guru, he's clearing the army, he's like doing law, he's fighting the Union of India. And how, Shubhang, how do you manage all of this, right? Clearly something's working.
No, ma'am, I'm just like a cog in the wheel. I won't say I'll say I'm a jack of multiple things. बट ये सबके साथ नहीं होता ना, मतलब वो डिपेंड करता है. तो मेरे अलग अलग इंटरेस्ट हैं. So I also gave FTI written exam. I've done theater before and I cleared the written exam, but at the same time my army JAG SSD was there. So that way. So I have it's their own people have the drive to do something, right? So for me, if beat मैंने काफी सारी चीजें खुद से डेवलप की, मतलब जो ऐसे ट्रेडिशनली मुझे पेरेंट्स ने नहीं सिखाया या ऐसा कोई स्कूल में अलग से करिकुलम में नहीं था. So I was into fitness, and in fitness also I picked this thing called CrossFit, which is very new in India. And in the pandemic, I've set up a home gym at my place, and I have plans of becoming a fitness entrepreneur also, but अभी ये सब है कि logistics, like where I'll be and all that, because my hometown is Raipur, and like for the longer run I don't want to leave Raipur. I want to come back to home, and for now, since I'm in my late 20s, I'll be touching 30, so it's about getting job experience and all that. So it's kind of very journey. It's overlapping with multiple things that you do. So
So it's amazing, right? So if you remove that pressure of academics
yes,
and
ma'am.
say you have to learn at your own pace and not worry about meeting
Huh.
curriculum or meeting grades, and you know, it's amazing
That
how
pressure is institutionally it's there always. I mean, apart from your family, parents say about there's peer pressure, and there's like in say for instance in law, like there was a period of 3 years only. अगर मतलब मेरे को 3 साल में like due to the court case it dragged on for 2 years, and like so I cleared my exams in only 1 year. So like law is like because it's BA LLB integrated, it was already a 5 year course. So it was really fortunate that मैं 3 साल मुझे 3 साल के अंदर ही मतलब 1 साल जो बैक्स देने मिले मैं तो उसमें निकाल लिया. Otherwise, had I not been that fortunate, as in apart from just being fortunate, had I not been that self-aware at the first place, in most likelihood I would have been a college dropout. No, because उस वक्त तो जैसे अभी there is this national education policy, so if you leave your course after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, wherever, you'll still get a diploma, or you'll get in a 5 year course, you leave after 3 years, you might get a graduation, like just a BA, if it's BLLB in that case. So, I mean, one has to be self aware and to see how, well, it's just like it's kind of permutation combination. So, aapko, apart from being, I mean, courage and all these things, timing, everything is important. But one has to be self-aware in the way like what is the best of the given their situation circumstance. उसमें आप क्या best कर सकते हैं, because उसके अलावा भी there are a lot of factors in life, like you can't uh, predict them. Say for instance the pandemic, the global pandemic, and a lot of other things, external factors that you don't have any control on. So it goes down to simply making best of the limited resources and time you have and using that judiciously.
and a positive attitude. I love it, Shubhang. I think it's so practical and very very timely advice for everyone who's listening in. Uh, the other thing that you've sort of brought up is this notion of being self-aware. I
जी.
want to ask how much of this awareness came and how much did your diagnosis of being told that you have dyslexia actually helped you all? Like, if you could go back in time and somebody would say, okay, we will eradicate this whole thing about this labeling and this identification, would you want that? Arun,
Well,
Nitya, jump in.
ma'am, like there's nothing wrong about being dyslexic. I identify myself as dyslexic. Uh, I mean, when people say कि अरे ये dyslexic है या जो भी, it comes from unawareness, and that negative attitude of putting people down. So, but at the same time, like one shouldn't oversell something, like if it is there, it is there. For any kind of uh, matlab just for seeking some extra sympathy that is not required, or just for some attention, you know उससे कई बार जेन्युइन कॉजेज में भी लोग टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड ले लेते हैं, तो वो चीज से हम बच सकते हैं. बट इफ देर इज आई मीन if there's a genuine need of identifying in that case and standing up for the people where there's institutional support and otherwise, so yeah, I mean there's nothing wrong about being identifying as a dyslexic and the whole thing, the ecosystem behind it.
Okay. What about Nitya and Arun? What do you all feel?
I would it would depend on the situation. Like Mr. Arun had said originally, like how he was quite bullied by his like not bullied, like he was quite told off by his father and said like he won't succeed. then maybe I would tell the time traveler to tell to like be like, see, I proved you wrong. Later then I have to be like, you wait and watch, I will prove you wrong in the future. You keep bad mouthing me, but I will end up proving you wrong because of this bad mouthing. Unlike it was like my story, I wouldn't change it.
Okay. That's
So
great. to
I
hear.
would actually tell this SLD, as we all know that 1 in 5 children are having this problem, meaning every school should have that elements wherein, okay, your child, this child is dyslexic, okay, we have this these processes which happens within the school, and it is within, it's more inclusion. Like when we fight for inclusion in other disabilities, very difficult to manage it. Like for instance, a wheelchair child to go to third floor and second floor, the whole infrastructure of the school should change. But only this disability, that is dyslexia, SLD particularly, is just the mindset of the school and the mindset of every teacher. Okay, you're not able to read, okay, you tell me the answer, I will listen to your knowledge. So that's what the new education policy and all is like looking to do. So I think so in future it would happen wherein SLD would not be an element of, okay, this is going to be, you need to go to a medical board and they should prove that you are having 40% and below IQ level, then only you will be given exemptions and so on. It should not be so. If the child is having difficulty in reading, writing, they can opt for a computer or they can do an oral test. As long as the child, the student is able to conceive their knowledge and display it to the teacher. Because end of the day, education is knowledge and not writing, reading. So
Absolutely.
if that
Well said.
works well, I feel tomorrow's India, tomorrow's world would be more brighter. This is what I kind of want to do. And yeah, I
And
think
that's a great note to sort of almost end on. Before that, I just want to sort of say that I like how a little bit of a camaraderie and a little gang that's like created between the three of them of supporting each other. It's they're sitting in three different parts of the world. They are at different stages of their life, and yet they found a way to make their own group and support each other. I think they all have just met each other once before, and I think that's the magic of SLD, right? I think that's one of the things which we undersell and undervalue in our educational system, where they may struggle with the reading, writing, and I think that's about at the fundamental core of all everything we do in inclusion, whether it's gender, whether it's ability, whether it's eco-social, whether it's language, all of it. Ultimately, it's about creating those commonalities. So with this, Indumati Rao ma'am, may I open it up to the audience if they have some questions, comments?
Yeah, before I ask the audience, I want to know from Arun, Nitya, and Shubhang, can we open up the forum for a few questions?
yeah, please.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. I think I'll take this opportunity to ask the first question. So the question is addressed to all the three. Okay. Have you experienced the fatigue created by families or by schools, or constantly pressurizing to do things which is difficult to do?
Every day.
Every time. All the time.
24/7.
It's like breathing.
Okay. Nitya, you are not saying so.
No, Nitya's mother is
No,
different.
I'm
So
happy to hear the truth. It's okay. I hear it every
My
day. Go
mother
ahead.
is also attending this meeting, but anyway.
Nitya, you can say openly. So
I did not quite understand the question though.
the question is, see, whenever like I'll just give my own example. If I have a very severe knee pain and if I am asked to climb the hill, it gives a lot of fatigue and we feel very tired and exhausted. That is very natural. The same thing can be experienced by children with difficulties in learning. I would not put it as disabilities, where constantly when people are asking them to do what they cannot do or what they have a difficulty to do, and if it is constant, if it is done, there's a lot of fatigue. No? Mentally, one feels very tired and exhausted. Whether you have experienced that, Arun said 24 by 7. So that is a very classic answer.
Uh,
But one says he breathes. No? It is almost like breathing, no? With the fatigue. So how about you, Nitya? Nitya?
I wouldn't exactly say that. Like, there are times where I have to do panels and talk about the book and all, but sometimes I don't want to, but it's also a necessity because, well, to spread awareness also, but sometimes I don't want to do it. Um, and so it's sort of like a mixed opinion because I don't have as much experience as them. So I
Yeah.
can't really say.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll step in there, Indumati Rao ma'am, and talk about
Yeah.
just a conversation Nitya and me had last night about how she feels overwhelmed when we try to help find solutions for things that she's struggling. And I think that as a parent is something that I struggle with. I'm always sort of trying to see how I'll make life easier. And I realized that sometimes she doesn't want me to interfere and make her life easier. And to just let her be and be like, okay, that's fine. Just whatever.
Good.
And so, Nitya, does that sort of resonate?
Yeah, I would say yeah.
That's very interesting. I often felt in school, I wish there was a place where I could just go and rest for a while, no, before getting into other program. So I think everyone would have felt the same. No, it's sometimes it is overwhelming, overburdening, which is there only for human beings. I don't see that so much in the animal world, but so much pressure for the human child, always to excel, always to move forward. So it is there. We have some fundamental questions about that, whether the child can move at their own pace of learning. Because, I'm sure Arun and Nupurji has heard me several times that each child is unique only by two dimensions. One is by the pace of learning and inherent potential. So why not allow a child to learn at their own pace and follow their potential is what I was looking at. That would make the child very happy. So we are sure about it because the pressure is something which no child enjoys. So the pressure is created artificially, which is it is not normal at all. But it is created by school, by parents, by the society. Whether we should have a deeper look into that was my concern. Now I will open. Yeah, Harviji, you want to ask question? Harviji, you have raised your hand. Please unmute your microphone. Adwaleji, can you hear me? You have to unmute your microphone.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so like I'm disabled in terms of technology, so it takes me a lot of time to figure things out. So here, I mean, I must congratulate the entire forum for this wonderful, wonderful experiences that have been shared by each one of you. And I just really love the honesty with which you people have put forth your points of views. I just personally, as an educator for I think more than 4 decades now, and having worked with children with different disabilities, so to say, I don't like to use that word, but I'm more a person with inclusive education, and also raised my voice at several forums during my career as a teacher, administrator. And I truly feel blessed to have had Nitya in my life. And Nitya has taught me a lot. It's not been a one-way traffic. It's been both ways. Um, about, and I sincerely feel that these children need a level playing field, which is really not provided to them. And if we are able to, as Arun said, bring about more awareness in terms of uh, doing it in rural India, it would be just fantastic. And if anybody, uh, you know, would like my support, I'm just ready to do that. And I definitely like to say that what really matters at this point is that, sorry, sorry, I just, I'm just
We can hear you, ma'am.
call,
Go ahead.
sorry, I just getting a call which I was declining. So, I mean, see, judgment is such a big word, especially when it comes to children with dyslexia, is when we drop judgments about children or adults, we are opening doors to receiving them more and to, what should I say, giving them more allowances and creating a happier environment. When you stop judging children for what they are, or you think even judging them as dyslexic, I think you're able to um, break certain barriers and help them learn a lot more than they are actually capable of. And the other thing which I'd like to say is, when children are ready to learn and you create an environment for them to learn, their pace of learning not only doubles and triples, it makes a vast difference. And I've seen that with Nitya, is when she has the readiness to learn what I may have planned for her for, just one topic. But when she's ready to learn it, I can do 3 or 4 more ones, 3 or 4 more topics with her. So I think it is very imperative for educators to understand children and to understand each child and to recognize that each individual is unique in his or her own way. And thank you, Nupur, for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I
Thank you,
just want
ma'am.
to add to what Harveen ma'am has mentioned. When we saw Nitya struggle with reading, the instinct was to sort of tell her not to read and that we would read to her. And Harveen ma'am, with her experience, sort of said, why don't we start Book Pals, which was really a reading club. And she had kids of different capabilities who came in, and these children met once or twice a week and started reading together. And it was reading out loud, it was discussing reading strategies, all of it. Actually, anti to everything that we sort of often suggest for children who have dyslexia. But what worked wonderfully is like because the environment had of compassion and non-judgment, everybody read. And Nitya's reading grew, and she's now reading Shakespeare in school. So I think we also have to keep in mind that we can get so fixated on what they can and cannot do. We sort of stop innovating on pathways of them to be able to learn in the fear that we want to sort of restrict them. So like Arun said, like I couldn't be in college. In the college, I didn't think I'd get admission. I was a lecturer and became the best lecturer. If he had believed in that pathway of what people said and the judgments, then he would never have been that best lecturer. So in all our accommodations and remedial interventions, I would really, really recommend strongly is look at that ulta solution. Like maybe think dyslexic, like think upside down of what might be possible, what you didn't think was. And I leave it at that. We have a question from Harish ji in the chat.
Also, Kairali ji wants to ask a question.
Yeah, so go ahead, Nitya.
Could I just add to one thing Harjeen ma'am said was when the kid is ready to learn, they will learn and they will learn quick. It is also listen to the child, like whether or not they have a disability or not. If they're tired, they are tired. Like some people say, come on, you can just do it. 2 more chapters, just one last page and then we'll be done. But that one last page, they won't understand. They will completely and utterly zone out and be like, they'll read it without understanding, or they'll hear it without registering. So listen to the child when they say, I am tired. Because every time ma'am reads or something, I would simply say, ma'am, I'm tired. I cannot read more. Or could you read for me? And she would be like, okay, we'll continue next class. And we would leave it halfway page or whatever.
Great, Nitya.
Thank you so much, Kairanji, would you like to ask something?
Yeah. To all the three of you, I am, as Nupur told, I became very emotional because I worked children of all ages from Varun to Nitya. And I just have one question which has been, I've been wanting to ask the children with the learning disabilities. When in your journey, when you found children with other special needs, bright kids, I mean, maybe same like you, what thought went in your mind? Did you feel what did you feel, or what are you feeling?
Another person like me, finally, an Indian I can talk to.
No, no. When you see children in the school, I know some of the children may be autism, maybe cerebral palsy, maybe with the intact intelligence, and they are struggling. What thought went in your mind? Did you feel that you are better off than them, or did you feel that you should help them, or what feeling came to you? Pardon?
Yeah, in my school, Alpha to Omega, we have an inclusive setup. So you
Okay.
can find a lot of children in different ways. So that's what
Okay.
from my childhood, my understanding was transcending differences. So let us not see the difference and make ourselves differentiating each other rather than celebrate it. And
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
this morning, I was having a talk with Vidyasagar, and one kid came and he hugged me, and he told he was having some issues and which he wanted to come out and stuff like that. So I could relate to him better. And it's not
Absolutely,
that
absolutely.
I would not say that I am better than him. I also have my own difficulty. He has his own difficulty, but that does not matter at all, is my belief. And one more question, sir. Harish has asked this peer support. And for me in college, all through my UG, my friend read out all the lessons for me. And I'll go to his house. His mother will make good fulkas and I'll eat and he will read to me. And his sister is actually working in DLearners, and she got inspired to teach dyslexic children because of her brother. Because I will just listen and she will come and tell, are you not writing? I don't write. I just listen and go to exam. Is what. So, but he's reading for you, and how are you reading? And like, how are you learning and so on. So I was an auditory learner, and so all that it takes is definitely peer support is a very huge thing. Why? Because if not that, as Neta told that when I want a spelling, someone will spell it to me, and it's small things. When people are around, it's very good when they accept you, and they don't see. And in my same life, when I was in school, my name is Arun Fernandez, and most of my friends will mock me, say that, okay, tell me spelling of Fernandez, and I will never tell it correctly when I was in third standard. So I felt then that's why I will call myself Arun, and I will never say Fernandez. And after a while, when I was old, also I was never saying Fernandez for a long time, and now I'm able to write it, so I will tell. But so all this peers would support you, and also they will also be the downfall and to tear your confidence away and so on. And at the same time, peers can also support. And as Nair ma'am's question is, yeah, when you see another child in a different disability or different ability or different difficulty, you will definitely empathize, and you will be the more empathizing person because you know what is difficulty.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
Thank
you. Yeah. What about others?
I personally I go to a very inclusive school. Like I have one of my good friends is also dyslexic like me, and there are a few kids in my class who have autism and Down syndrome, and they do struggle with speaking and communicating, but it's their struggle until and unless they are willing. The whole thing is coming from other child who is having trouble reading or writing, and I would personally not interfere because I'm not sure whether what that kid has gone through until and unless like I get a small back. Like, okay, so we're saying you didn't know me, you didn't know my backstory, and you saw me struggling to read. That's when you would come and help me, but sometimes that won't be helping because I'm trying my best to do it as well. Like, I'm not sure how to frame it.
Excellent, 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 excellent. Nice to hear you all. Wish you all the best in your own field, and from the oldest Arun to the youngest Nitya. Okay, all the best.
Thank you. It is
Thank you.
it's
It's been a
37.
pleasure.
We have one last question, ma'am.
You have it.
Prema Rao has raised her hand.
Yeah.
This is Prem. Shubhang, I was a professor at IIM Mysore about 4 years back. I retired. Okay, I don't remember having met you there, but it's
Hello,
amazing.
Prerna ma'am. Ma'am, what's
Prema.
your good name? Prema ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ha.
yeah.
You have known me. Have you heard of me?
Sorry?
No, like you said that you've heard of me. Sorry, there's some network disturbances, so I can't hear
No.
properly.
I don't think I have met you at Aish. You said
Okay.
you had come to Aish, but I don't
Ah,
think I have
yes,
met
ma'am.
you. But it's amazing to hear all three of you and your reflections, your insights, your achievements.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's I wish all children get such opportunities to be self-aware. But
Yes, ma'am.
in my experience, what I have found, I mean, this is to Nitya's mom and then teacher and so many others who are listening to me. See, our job gets much easier if we start building up awareness in parents. That's what I used to do when they
Hmm.
came to me with the kids. And I used to say, I used to send the children out and then just talk to the parents, maybe for an hour or so, letting them know that, see, they are not disabled, they're just different and they have some special abilities. And I would tell them that, just sit and tell me your skills. So the parents had to list out their skills to me and the skills of others. Then make a list of what they are capable of and what they are not capable. Then I said, please have this, same perspective for your child. Don't always pin down your child saying you can't do it, you can't do it, you are unable to do it, you don't write, you don't read, you don't, and sitting for hours together and reading and writing is not an easy job for kids. So I would take maybe 1 or 2 hours of counseling session for parents, and then majority of parents have come and told me in their subsequent visit, saying that I don't see that my child is so severely disabled. The perspective changed. So when the perspective changed and when they started seeing the kids with a positive attitude, the kids were so much at ease with the parents. They would share, some of the things, the school, whatever that happened in the school, and they would learn with much ease. And my job became so much easier to work with the kids and the parents. So we have heard a lot about your self-awareness. I wish this probably, will be in the form of an YouTube or something, so that parents get to listen to you. They should know
Thank you,
that the
ma'am.
kids have a lot of awareness about themselves and parents need not impose, of course, exception to Nitya's mom. So I wish, this goes to a much wider group, particularly parents, not only children with special abilities. I would say special abilities.
Ma'am, I would just like to highlight to this that self-awareness comes a bit later. Like I was also as clueless. I'm still clueless about a lot of things, but in school, like basically, while a child is a minor, उनको थोड़ा सा टाइम लगता है मतलब वो कॉलेज में जाने के बाद once you're adult and you're into adulting like us, like me and Arun,
Yes,
like it's
yes,
easier. But
yes,
then,
Shubham. Yeah.
हाँ
Yeah,
तब
yes,
तक
Shubhang. Yeah, that
yes,
self-awareness definitely comes with your cognitive capacities. But
जी जी जी,
don't the parents play a role here?
हाँ हाँ.
Parents play a role here, and
More
they have
often
to
than
really.
not, more often than not, it's the very parents who bring the child down and they sabotage the child. More often than not.
So I think to begin with, I wish parents listen to you all and your, whatever recording today. I think it should reach out to the parents first, more than the kids.
I agree.
Yes.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you so
Ajit.
much.
I think now we all know for everyone, not only for Arun, Shubhang, and Nitya, for every child, underestimation of the ability is a disability.
Yes,
As
ma'am.
long as
Yes.
we don't underestimate, everything is fine.
Yes.
We are very, very happy that we could have this wonderful session.
Yes.
And very thankful to all the three speakers, Arun, Nitya, and Shubham. And thanks, Nupurji, for anchoring the entire session. And thanks everyone for staying with us. And this will be uploaded on YouTube as the Veda Talks is not just for few of us who are here in today's session, but it is going to be on YouTube. So we'll be sharing the link and kindly share with every parent, every teacher, and every child. So it is very important. Once we know, once the darkness of ignorance is removed, light will follow automatically. So it is the fog that is really creating a big barrier. So thank you very much. We really look forward to get connected. Stay blessed and stay well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
What drama? No, I have to make some comment on the because there are LD children. Shakti, so I switched off and I came to the kitchen. After the point, last video, I have just made one comment on I could not. 10 മിനിറ്റ് നിന്ന് നിർത്തി മഴ തരാൻ പറ്റും message. I thought we will be meeting there with a very happy mood. Yes, yes. And it's a nice initiative. Thank you very much for Pandya and for informing me to join all this. Oh, you should join our network Syncs up. I will connect your number to our workies. Yeah, sure. Or we have a lot of meetings. So workies sir, our Dr. C.P. Singh, please add to our portfolio. I will take the number. Thank Put it in chat box, Professor C.P. Your number, sir. Your number. My number. In chat box. In chat box, you just type it. Okay. You are going to record this, isn't it, right? I will put it in Facebook, sir. Okay. Yes, Korean has to do a lot of homework on that. Maybe once we start the discussion, we can put it. We can record. Yes. The preliminaries are not required. Yeah. Hello, Gomes. Rosama has joined. Shall we start now? Yes, we can. Ask Korean. Okay. Sir. Okay, let us start now. It's already 7 o'clock, 7 past 2. Okay, so just an introduction, sir, please. Good evening, everyone. And greetings from India Network of Professional Social Workers Association. All of us know this is a network of different professional workers association in India, and we have been alive for the last 4-5 years. Now, the objective of this particular meeting is to discuss on the recently published draft policy document by the government of India on persons with disabilities. So, without any further introduction, let me get into the my responsibility as welcoming all of you. Today's your meeting will be moderated by Dr. Cherian. Dr. Cherian is the Vice President of IIM-B, and we have our President of IIM-B, Professor Gandhi Dosa, means all Indian social workers, knowing him better than me.
Warm welcome to you, sir, formally, and welcome to Cherian, sir. Also, our today's key speaker is Dr. Indumati Rao. Sir, will introduction about Dr. Indumati Rao. A note of welcome to Doctor, and we have a few other people like Professor R.P. Dwivedi, he is the president of NAPSWI, and Dr. Richard John, is the manager policy advocacy and resource development. Samarthan Trust, and Professor Anita Rebo, Dr. Seema P. Uttaman, Dr. Usha Kandaswamy, Dr. Hemleda, and Dr. Swati Dharmadhigari from Nagpur. And we have many other senior people here like Professor C.P. Singh and Dr. Narasinghan Raya Dugam, and there are many other people. Many of them I'm not familiar with, but warm welcome to all of you. One word. So let's have a fruitful session. Please share your suggestions. There will be an open forum also after all this. Invited people speak, and let us make the life of the disabled people a better one in India with all our efforts. Thank you all, and over to Professor Gadido sir for an introductory message.
Thank you, thank you. We are meeting dear friends after a bit long time because we were busy with our own elections and settling a number of procedures and upholding number of work. We are also on the council bill, and in fact, I given the copy to Madam Indumati Rao to help us out. Made some comments on that long back, but still pending in the Prime Minister's office and Nitya your office. So it is there, and I'm sure that we will get some support from all the people. But this is a very special occasion because we are now on policy, because we have been more on inward-looking people. Only our profession and professional one, but slowly we are moving out on policies of the nation and make our own input into that policy. And for this particular occasion, I could not have been better person than Dr. Indumati Rao, who has been a pioneer in this field, and her words carry a lot of weight, and her actions carry more than that. Therefore, I leave it and miss welcoming all of you on behalf of the social work fraternity, and I hope this meeting will be very fruitful. And I personally thank Cherian Kurian, who was taking the initiative to organize this network meeting for this. Thank you very much.
Sir, now over to you, sir. Dr. Cherian, sir.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Indumati and Professor Gadido. Let me also wish all of you a good evening and also welcome to this constitutive meeting. Hello? Yeah. Yeah. I think this policy practice, somehow social workers, somehow somewhere we lost the touch, or probably from the curriculum. In our time and the earlier time, I know that we used to learn the social policy and social legislations, and this is very important for us, as we are aware that there are three levels of practice: micro, meso, and macro. Actually, this macro practice is called as policy practice. Therefore, social workers have to involve in this area because it is an important function of social work profession. And why we learn the social policy and socialization? Because we are supposed to involve in those areas, but these are part of our structural issues which create problems in society. Although we talk about all those things, somehow we don't seriously involve in these areas. In all other countries, social workers are very much involved in policy making. In fact, in in the ministry level under the MPs and the MLAs, they appoint social workers to develop policies, and probably that is how it is done. But somehow we are not here in India. Because any country has to face the innumerable problems, of diverse nature. Then how do a country tackle them? The first step is to develop a policy to deal with the issue. And what is a policy? It's a guideline, kind of roadmap. It should give directives, to guide the government into their business. So that's the contest. Today's contest is as Dr. Aiko has already said, that under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has drafted a policy, national policy on persons with disability, 2022. And today's consultation is basically to invite the views on, what are this policy and how do they draft, what kind of maybe suggestions we can give to improve that policy. Because only when we have a kind of an evidence-based policy, a policy that is implementable, then only it has got sense. Otherwise, in India we have so many policies, but many of them are not implementable. Therefore, we have to take strong position in those areas. And as an organization, now we have a national network. We have in different states, we have organizations. Together, we have to send our views to government and make sure that they will have the right kind of policy, implementable policy, evidence-based policy. And that's a contest. In today's this consultation, we have several speakers, resource persons, and Dr. Indraji will be the chief speaker. After that, there are Professor R.P. Trivedi, Dr. Victor Don, Dr. Anita Rigo, Dr. Seema Uttam, Dr. Swati, Dr. Usha Kandasamy, Dr. Hen Lena, and Dr. Sita. There are so many people. Maybe other participants also can join. Now we are about 54 participants are there. Sometimes even from outside, some of them may join. So you will be able to share your thoughts, and it will be all recorded. And finally, we will be able to send our recommendation to the ministry. That's our idea. So without wasting much time, let me introduce today's chief speaker, the Professor Inclusive Rao. She is the regional advisor of Inclusion Bharat. He is one of the best known advocates of inclusion in the country. Dr. Rao is a founder and the regional coordinator of this rehabilitation network that operates in 8 South Asian countries. This network also has been given special UN consultative status. Dr. Rao has contributed widely towards building the movement for inclusion of children, adults, and senior citizens with diverse needs across the country and South Asia. Born in Bangalore, Dr. Rao did a doctoral research in the area of special needs, and is the founder of many NGOs like Nivedita Shikshan Kendra, Nivedita Anovigas, Seva in Action, and so on. Currently, she is the chairperson of the Global Partnership for Disability Development and vice chairperson of National Bal Bhavan. She is widely published and implemented several research projects in the field of inclusion of people with diverse needs. She is well versed in this area, and we are happy that you are able to join this meeting today. And I request her to maybe to start the presentation. Before that, let me also request the participant, please mute your your mic, and otherwise there will be disturbances. And in this part of the country, also we have rain, so sometimes there will be disturbances. So please mute, and I request Professor Dr. Indumati Rao to present. present their views.
And also, respected Dr. Gandhidas, who is one of the stalwarts and very inspiring person. And I don't know how many of you know the diverse and domains that Dr. Gandhidas has worked. So Gandhidas brings a lot of knowledge from diverse sectors. And when he is here, I feel a little hesitant to speak because I also see Dr. Gandhidas as my guru. So with that brief intro, I would like the organizers to open the sharing the screen because I'll just take you through the journey on what this policy is all about. So as you all know, India signed and ratified UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in 2007. In fact, India was the first country to sign and ratify. As a result of that, they replaced an earlier Act, Disability Act called Equal Opportunities Act to a new act called Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, which was passed in Indian Parliament. And the major shift was to move from the charity welfare approach to a rights-based vision in addressing the issues concerning disability. That is what RPWD Act is all about. So now nearly almost 2016 to 2022, we are really talking of a very long gap. We are talking about the policy to implement the RPWD Act and to look at to look forward how we can really address the issues in the country. Why I'm saying about this is as far as I have worked in many countries across the world, and generally they follow three steps. Three steps to develop a policy. One is they look at the problems and challenges. They make a very good gap analysis and problem analysis, and they develop a policy, which is basically a path-finding effort. And based on the policy, they come with roadmaps and plan of actions and resource identification. Then they look at legislation to give the backup support to implement the policy. But in India, I also see in some countries in South Asia, it goes with step number 3 first, that is developing a legislation first. Then they are looking at the policy, and then they say that now they will come out with roadmaps and frameworks later. So this is a little a big area for concern because having say legislation already without identification of challenges and developing a policy after legislation has tremendous implications. Not one, there are multiple implications where a country develops a policy after implementing a legislation. But this is not the first time India is coming out with a policy. They have come out with a policy even in 2012 on a national policy on disability. And when we read it, nothing much has been implemented yet. So we are coming up with one more policy. As someone said, the most important aspect is whether the policy is doable, whether it takes the concern of all persons in the country, and especially those who are disadvantaged and marginalized. These are the questions. Let me share about what is there in the policy. I can't see. I can't see my file. So how do I do it?
You can share the screen. Sir, will you please make her as a
she's co-host now. Madam, you
co-host.
can share.
I can see files. Of course, you can also share my one. Just give me a second. Okay. I have sent my PowerPoint. Could you please share that from your end?
Okay.
Because I'm not able to see the sharing here.
Okay. Yeah, I think next sir will do that.
Just a minute. Continue.
Okay. So, as I said, the policy has the current policy. One thing what we have noticed is that not all people with disabilities. It says the policy very clearly says not on disability, but it says for people with disability. So whether they have done it deliberately, consciously, intelligently, that I am not sure. But saying that this policy is for people with disabilities is a very strong statement in the policy. Having said that, when we look at the policies, the document, there are several chapters that is listed in the policy. And here we have the chapters includes the prevention, early identification and intervention. And in the principles, vision and mission, they talk about what is the current situation, but it is mostly what we see is a copy paste from other documents. There is no clarity on the current situation analysis or data mining that should be there in the policy. There is nothing because they quote only about 2011's disability census. What is the drawback in quoting the 2011 disability census? One drawback is the census was conducted in 2011, and now we are almost going for the next census, which was due in 2021. And 2011 census enumerated people with disabilities and came with the prevalence rate of about 2.86%, and they enumerated about 7 types of disabilities. But after 2011 census, 2016 RPW Act identified 21 types of disabilities. So if we really look into the 21 types of disabilities, I am looking at 2011 census, it is almost 3 times more. Not only that, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, they have announced on public domain the population attrition rate for India for the decade and decadal growth, population growth. So the population that has grown almost 2011 to 2021, unless we take that into account and also look at the 3-4 more types of disabilities, quoting the 2011 census, this is the another PowerPoint. I think I shared one more PowerPoint.
It's not moving. The slide is not moving.
It is not moving, and this is not PowerPoint I'm using.
Yes, sir. Probably you have to know that. Maybe open it. I think.
No.
Make it full screen.
There is another one. I will take it. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So looking at what we have in this policy, basically what we do not have is a situation analysis like where we stand now.
Yeah.
So as I said, the policy is a path-finding effort. There is no clue in the policy what is the size of the problem, where we are in terms of the numbers, in terms of the reach. We don't have anything in the policy. So it only talks about 2011 census, and it also makes a statement. For someone like Gandhidas, will be surprised that I'm so critical about this policy, but it is because based on the facts. The policy says that in developed countries there is a prevalence rate of about 20%, 19%, but India only has 2.86%. And this they say, and we don't understand what is the intention of the saying so in the policy document, because we are all aware that the high resource countries, they identify people and they have incidence data, because there are 2 types of database we talked about in disability. One is incidence and other is prevalence, and we don't have incidence data in India. The other aspect is why other countries, high resource countries, rich countries, they have more disability prevalences, because they don't allow people with disabilities to die. So it is as simple as that. Because they leave them, that is why we see the percentage, the survival rate is very high, so we see more number of people. So it is not something like India has less disability. If that is what they see or intended, then we would think that is something that's very wrong. So that is one aspect. The second aspect is they talked about in the policy early intervention. Early intervention, again, we have looking at, if you see 2011 census, if you see the data in 0 to 3 age group, it's a very small number, and suddenly the number grows up when we go to the age group of 9 and above. So, children with disabilities, no, they don't get disabilities suddenly at the age of 9. So, the whole problem what we have in India is about identification tools are very inadequate, and the policy has not addressed. So, I don't know. I just want to show with the.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
What happened?
I'm getting it, sir. Getting it, please.
Okay.
Okay. So, because I want to show you the policy, the chapters that would give a clarity on that. Then we are looking at after the early identification, the policy really looks at some of the critical issues on the UDID. So when it comes to UDID, that is unique, disability identification, it is a mess what we are saying which has not been addressed in policy. What is that mess is about? It is about the benchmark disability that is stated in RPWD Act. The benchmark disability means